Welcome along to After the Flag. After an extraordinary afternoon at the Grand Prix of the Americas, Marquez leads the championship at the end of that. But it's not Marc Marquez, it's Alex Marquez, who now leads the MotoGP World Championship. Neither of them won today. Pecco Bagnaia has won the Grand Prix of the Americas. We'll get into everything over the course of the next half an hour or so here on After the Flag. Louis Suddaby joined by 1993 World Champion Kevin Schwantz, who's joined us throughout the weekend. You've seen a lot of racing here at Austin over the years. Have you seen anything quite like that?
I have not. You know, what an interesting race. It was just thick with humidity out there before the start. All of a sudden, it was like somebody turned the temperature up about 15 degrees. And with that, everybody took off running for their spare bike. So I don't know who triggered the reaction, but I think, you know, slick tires were obviously the right call. Yeah,
what was going through your mind in the minutes before the race? We saw Fabio crash on the sighting lap before the race got underway. He was on slicks. At the point that the race got underway, there were three riders who had gone for the slick tyres. Iagora, Brad Binder and Enea Bastianini, who were sat on the grid waiting for the race got underway. And what were you thinking when Marc Marquez suddenly ran right straight off the grid?
I thought everything was settled and decided. I was already walking back down pit lane, going the other way to go get back up to the suite to watch. And all of a sudden, they're like, get out of the way, get out of the way. And here comes the 93 running down. But what's funny is I think 63 was sitting in the box on his spare bike, just leaving everybody out there to think that that's what he was going to show up and ride. And when it got down to a certain time before the bikes were supposed to roll, I think somebody took notice that Pecco wasn't there and that he was going to do something different.
Quite an extraordinary start to the race. In the end, it finished with an all-Ducati podium. Bagnaia from Alex Marquez and Fabio Di Giannantonio back on the podium. Let's get his reaction now live with Matt Burt.
Yeah, Fabio Di Giannantonio, an unbelievable third place here in Austin for Fabio. We know how much he struggled over the last few months with injuries. Absolutely exhausted standing here in front of us right now. Fabio, the perfect painkiller, a podium. How are you feeling? Because that was an incredible day.
Yeah, it's been incredible. I'm so proud, so happy. Even if you don't see it, maybe. But yeah, just so exhausted. I'm a rider that works so much at home, so I never felt also or experienced this kind of tiredness after a race. But yeah, honestly, that's.
Getting a little congratulations here from my fellow Italian Marco Bezzecchi.
So yeah, just we knew that I worked a little bit more. Well, not a little bit. I worked quite a lot for coming here ready, but it was not enough, honestly. After half race, I was using every muscle possible. Now I have pain, believe me, in every part of my body. But yeah, the performance has been great. We've been fast, for sure. We took the little gift of Marc, but hey, that's racing. We were on the podium. We were pushing also till the end, trying to catch Alex. So I think we just have to be super proud of our work. The team is incredible. I just can't say enough thank you to them. They put me in a perfect position to make these results, so I'm just super happy and proud of them and me.
Talk us about what you saw when Marc crashed at turn 4. Clearly he was on the curve, and then did you really feel like you had the pace to maybe catch Alex?
At the end I was believing it. I was believing, I was pushing, I was seeing that I was losing just on the second sector, so I was pushing all the rest of the lap, but then it was not possible at the end. Also, the last lap I did a little mistake to try to catch him, because for sure second place is better than third. But yeah, I was just, I was pushing, tried to be a little clever, because a lot of white lines and curves were slippery, and I think for that reason Marc crashed out of turn 4. So yeah, pity for him, but hey, it's a good take for us.
I know you're really exhausted. I know you want to go and enjoy some of those 200 beers that you told Jack about in part for me. But just one last question, Fabio, because as you mentioned, it's been a real tough few months for you. You first had that shoulder problem all the way back in July last year in the Sachsenring, then the crash in Sepang, which really disturbed your pre-season. So to be here at round 3 at a really tough physical circuit on the podium, hard work pays off, doesn't it?
Definitely, mate, definitely. Talent is not enough. Talent got beaten when hard works, let's say. So, yeah, we've done, believe me, has been crazy months, working so much. My girlfriend is hating me about these months. We had just few moments to relax and chill together. We had just focused completely on the recovery. So I think we've done an amazing comeback.
Fabio, get some rest and enjoy the celebrations. Awesome job, well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, no pain, no gain, as they say. Fabio Di Giannantonio certainly backed that up today. Returning, of course, from that broken collarbone that he sustained back in the Sepang test. Kevin, this is a physical circuit anyway. It's one of the features of this circuit. 20 corners, so much fast direction change, particularly the first half of the lap. How physical is this circuit? And then when you add in the fact that he's recovering and trying to build up muscle strength from a broken collarbone, just what a job did you do today?
Yeah, DG did a great job. I spoke to him this morning after warm-up before the race, and he was like, I'm still not 100%, but I feel like I'm close. You know, we're right there. To get that result has got to be just a huge success for him and the team. I think we see the excitement, definitely the exhaustion from what this track deals you. You know, the combination of the S's and then into 6 and 7, up over the hill 9, 10, hard braking for 11, hard braking at 12. That next sequence of corners around to 19 is not easy, so there's no real time to rest.
Well, no question what the big moment, the deciding factor was in today's Grand Prix of the Americas. It was Marc Marquez crashing out of a 2-second lead with Pecco Bagnaia keeping pace with him but not able to ultimately close down. What was going through your mind when Marc went down, and what was your view of the crash?
You know, it just looked like, and I was watching it on a small monitor, so I didn't get to see it up closer in slow motion, but it looks to me like he really got onto the paint and just still a little bit of moisture there, I'm sure. Just cost him a bit of grip, and down the thing went on the low side. So here you go. You see him just. Well, I was watching the bike behind him. Yeah, just a little bit onto the green and white, a little off the white stripe into the bigger part of the paint. Here we go. And you can see just that little bit of bobble with the bike.
And just what a huge difference will this make to Pecco Bagnaia, who we're going to hear from shortly, of course, having taken a bit of an onslaught from Marc Marquez so far this season, of course, within that Patrick Ducati box. He knew full well that once a mistake came his way, he had to take advantage of that. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think Pecco had gotten clear of Alex, or at least was right there just in front of Alex at the time. He had taken a little bit out of Marc in the lap before, and then Marc had just added a little bit of distance and a little bit of space back. But, you know, you start feeling that pressure. You start trying to find that lap time that ultimately was what Marquez showed his dominance most of the weekend. And it causes one little mistake, and it snuck up and got Marc today.
So Pecco Bagnaia, your Grand Prix winner. We'll be hearing from him shortly. World Championship leader, though, is Alex Marquez, taking advantage, of course, of that consistent start to the season. 6 second places for him now, 3 on a Saturday, 3 on a Sunday. He's 1 point ahead of his brother Marc. Of course, he's been in the shadow of his older brother for so long, but Alex Marquez gets to enjoy his little moments in the sun now.
There's one really proud Fausto Grassini upstairs watching and smiling.
Yeah, of course, the first time since, I guess, Enea Bastianini won at the start of 2022 that a Grassini rider leads the World Championship. This was the start of the race then. Marc Marquez getting the whole shot. Of course, he immediately had Pecco Bagnaia for company at the start of the sprint yesterday. This time, though, Marc Marquez much stronger off the line, and we saw very early on why riders as a group effectively wanted to go in and start on the dry tyres. It was certainly dry in the racing line and certainly much drier than it was when the rain was falling 20 or so minutes before the race got underway. In terms of the balance of power, though, between the factory Ducati riders, how will Marc Marquez absorb what happened here today and respond to that? Because he certainly knew that he had the pace to win this Grand Prix, but doesn't have the points to show for it. Is it an easy one when you've crashed out of a lead to just sort of put that into a box in your head and just forget about it, or can that carry over to the next 2 or 3 races? You know, it's always going to be there to affect you just a little bit. The stronger the rider, mentally and physically, the less it's going to affect him, and we've seen how strong Marc is. When you know what caused it, when you know that you made a mistake and went onto a portion of the track that's going to be slicker than the asphalt, and you know that there's something to blame for it. When a crash happens that you're not 100% certain of what went on, that really messes with your mind. But I think Marc's going to be able to be pretty clear on what caused that, and you know, I'm sure he'll come out swinging like he always does. Yeah, Qatar coming up next, which admittedly Marc Marquez says is not one of his stronger circuits on the calendar, although admittedly that has been when he's been generally on a Honda up against Ducatis. Famously, Andrea Dovizioso beat him a couple of years in succession on a Ducati. But Pecco Bagnaia so needed that, of course, having taken that onslaught from Marc Marquez so far. And Bagnaia, I guess, deserves a lot of credit. Even when Marc Marquez has been dealing out plenty of punishment so far, he's, I guess, learned the lessons of last season. We saw mistakes from Pecco Bagnaia last season, which ultimately cost him the World Championship. But if you can't win, finish second. If you can't finish second, finish third. And Bagnaia has made sure that he's at least kept the points ticking on, even when Marc Marquez has had that edge. Yeah, absolutely. As a World Championship winner, you know, 2-time world champion MotoGP, I think Pecco knew
he's going to be able to find the speed and the pace. He's just not comfortable and confident yet on that bike. They seem to have made a few adjustments. I've been noticing that I think the Ducati isn't quite finishing the corner like it needs to for him. Looks like he's having to drive the thing out to the paint and still finish the turn instead of at the apex have the corner finish and now drive the bike to the edge of the track. So it looked like the bike was doing more what he wanted it to today, and definitely enough speed to get past Alex and put a little bit of distance on him, and maybe that pressure was felt by Marc.
Can you see this now lifting a weight off Pecco Bagnaia's shoulders? Admittedly, the last couple of circuits haven't historically been strong circuits for him. This is his first victory in Austin. He'd never won before in Termas de Rio Hondo. But how much can you speak to the pressure that gets released off your shoulders when you end what's not exactly been a long wait for Pecco Bagnaia for a victory, but it must have felt like a long wait?
Yeah, from when testing started and Marc started being quick on the Ducati, Pecco didn't look noticeably not well rested to me, but I'm sure that the nights have been sleepless. The one person you don't want to get beat by is your teammate. To be able to put that behind you and actually ride a race that you can be really proud of and feel like maybe you forced the leader into an issue. Confident, he'll be ready to go to Qatar, and then get to Europe and get on with his championship.
Fourth place today for Frankie Morbidelli, third and fourth for the VR46 team. Ultimately, it was a Ducati 1, 2, 3, 4. But we can hear now live from Marc Marquez. The big moment of the Grand Prix today was Marc Marquez crashing out of the lead. Let's get his live reaction now.
Yeah, Marc, it's fair to say that was a very dramatic, a very eventful Sunday for you here in Kota. It looked like you were cruising once again to another victory here when it all went wrong at turn 4. First of all, tell us about the crash and how are you and exactly what happened.
Yeah, we did the most difficult and yeah, in the easiest moment of the race that was trying to control the distance, I cut a bit too much that corp on turn 5 and I lose the front. It was completely my mistake. Sorry for the team. I can say only this. Positive for us, because always I try to find the positive. It's like we are equals on the championship, 1 point behind Alex, so restart a new championship.
You said coming into this weekend that you were going to be careful about being overconfident. Do you think you were overconfident in that race, or was it just a factor of the conditions with that slippery curb?
No, I mean, the curb I already cut some corners, some laps before, so just I cut too much. I was too optimistic a bit. I was full concentrate. I was not with that extra confidence. I was just riding, taking care about the hard break points. That is where you do some mistakes in turn 12. But the rest of the track, I feel super safe. I cut too much the corps. There was the mistake. I lose 25 points. Yes, but we need to keep going on the same way, keep the same speed because I feel fast everywhere. So now. Tomorrow is a new week. We will have a good atmosphere in the family, in training, because we are first and second in the championship, and still we had that margin that we used in the worst way, because we used in an easy race. But at the moment, still we are there on the championship.
There'll be a lot of talk, obviously, about the crash, Marc, but also about what happened before the start, the rain falling about half an hour before the race, and then your decision right at the very last minute to come off the grid. Talk us through that. Was that planned? Was that part of the strategy? How did that come about? And was that a little bit of, some people saying it was mind games? I mean, you're the only one that knows. Can you tell us exactly what happened?
Yeah, I really know the rules and how to do and how to be on the limit all the time. And yeah, I asked to Rigamonti, my chief mechanic, 7 minutes before the start, if the second bike was ready. He told me yes, and then I said to him, maybe I will leave the grid. Why? Because I predict that when I will leave, I saw that the rain tires was not the correct strategy. And then I predict that when I will leave, more than 10 riders will follow me, and then they will stop the race. So it's what happened. But yeah. We did everything well. We did everything perfect. It was everything clear, everything, but we did a mistake on that turn 5.
Marc, we'll see, I'm sure, bouncing back and strong once again in Qatar. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much for Marc Marquez putting A brave face on it, I guess, and joining us live on After the Flag. And just to clarify and just to add to what he mentioned there regarding the regulations, Marc Marquez said himself there, he knew the regulations and that if 10 or more riders leave the grid, then it's an immediate abortion of the start and no riders are penalised. If it's fewer than 10 riders that leave the grid, then they would have been given ride-through penalties. So a bit of a calculated gamble there that Marc Marquez took, that enough riders would leave the grid for him to avoid a penalty. That was indeed what happened. We had some pretty forthright opinions from the likes of Davide Brivio before the race got underway. Unhappy, of course, that his rider, Ayagura, who had gone for the slicks, didn't get to take advantage of that, but enough riders left the grid for it to be an aborted start with no sanctions. I guess as much as it's about the talent and about the mind, you need to know the rule book as well.
Absolutely. And I was trying to notice on that shot of the grid whether Pecco was actually on his bike or not, because I guess if you don't leave the grid, if you decide to go from the garage, is there no penalty then? Or is it a certain time limit that you've got before you can leave the grid and then go get on your spare bike?
Yeah, well, Pecco Bagnaia was on his bike. We saw an onboard replay from him who saw Marc Marquez run past him and then immediately reacted and decided he was going to do the same and leave the grid. So we had one or two riders who were standing on the grid, rather perplexed and rather frustrated. Luca Marini, I think, was the highest rider on the grid who actually stayed where he was and decided to try and start from the grid. He would have then had to start on wet weather tyres. Clearly, as we saw, the right decision was slicks. As mentioned a moment ago, though, a Ducati 1, 2, 3, 4 might have been even better than that, to be honest. With around about 3 laps to go, we saw a crash for Fermin Aldeguer, who was running in 5th place. Doesn't have the points to show for his performance today, but how impressed were you with him?
What a ride. I mean, what a weekend. He's been kind of off and on, but seemed to be consistently making time, making up positions, you know, coming from not a long way back, but yeah, he for me, I think had a great weekend. Didn't quite get the points that maybe he thinks he deserved or that he did deserve, but he can go away from this weekend being proud.
Well, just how much relief are we about to hear here from Pecco Bagnaia? His first win of the season, Grand Prix win number 30 in MotoGP. Pecco Bagnaia, your Grand Prix of the Americas winner, is with Matt.
Yeah, isn't it fantastic to see Pecco Bagnaia back on the top step of the podium? His first win of 2025, his 30th win in MotoGP. Pecco, that was an unbelievably dramatic Sunday. So to come out with a victory after what's been a pretty difficult start to 2025, you must be super happy here in Qatar.
I'm super happy, and I want to dedicate it to my team because are the ones that are deserving more this victory. They are there working always, keeping my nervousness and just trying to translate in a technical way. So they are doing an incredible job like always, and they were always pushing to makes me happy again on the bike, and today I was happy riding. It's true that Marc was faster. I was the second faster today, and as soon as I saw in crashing, I just said to myself, okay, I have to push the same. I want to open the gap to Alex, and the was quite clear. Strategy was quite clear. So I'm really happy, even if it's not one of my best track because it's the first win I have here. I'm super happy. The feeling was fantastic, and this is the way we have to continue working. I know that it's not finished yet because I need to do another step, but today we did a very good step in front.
It was a former factory Ducati rider, the late great Nicky Hayden, who always used to famously say, the reason we line up on Sundays is because you never know quite what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Marc was the big favourite, of course. What was going through your mind, and talk us through the incident which took him out at turn 4?
I was seeing that he was very aggressive on the curbs. I wasn't using it that much because I was quite scared of some slippery curbs, so I was avoiding it. And as soon as I saw him crashing there, I just tried to keep going like this because I was seeing that Alex was still close to me, and the maximum thing was to win today. So I just tried to keep in the same way.
And obviously there was a big talking point before the initial start with the rain. Marc just told us that it was all a strategy, it was all a tactic, that he was waiting until the last moment to walk off the grid because he knew that a whole bunch of other riders would do so. We saw you quickly jump off the bike. Talk us through that from your perspective, and did you know what his plan was? Did you have any idea?
I wasn't knowing his strategy, but I was seeing that he wasn't on the bike. He wasn't seated, so I was I was thinking that he was doing it. I was thinking to do the same because the starting grid was completely dry. Also, the first corner was looking dry. So I said, if I start in this situation, I will lose too much time. And as soon as I see him doing it, I just follow. Normally, he's very sneaky in on this situation, and was the correct one.
Not a bad first 100-meter sprint for you down the pit lane as well. How good was the hot dog after the race?
Was testing well. Thursday morning, my team gave it one to me, and they said only Sunday, and the taste was fantastic.
Enjoy some hot dogs with a little bit of Prosecco as well to wash you down. Great job, Pecco. Well done. Great to see you back on the top.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I bet it tasted good, given that he managed to bring the Ducati home as your Grand Prix winner. Of course, so much of the talk coming to this season, Kevin, has been about the head-to-head between the factory Ducati riders, the battle for the championship that we're expecting to be between those two. Of course, Alex Marquez will hope to be in the mix as well. But how much of a battle do you think Pecco can give Marc this season? I think it's fair to say, as good as Marc has been so far this season, that we're yet to see Pecco Bagnaia at the peak of his powers. When he gets there, do you feel he's got enough within him to challenge Marc right the way to the end? You
know, it was interesting listening to Pecco, and he said, you know, we still weren't as fast as Marc today. It was a mistake that Marc made that gave us the opportunity. But he said we were faster than we had been. He was obviously faster than Alex was, which is a step in the right direction. You know, a little more work, a little more confidence, and I think Pecco can actually push the limits and get up and rival Marc. I know Marc's got lots of speed just about everywhere we go. Qatar is not one of his favorite, but then you go to Jerez, which is home territory for him. So, you know, Pecco just needs to be ready for a season-long fight, and I think, or a battle, and that's what it's going to be. Well, for all the talk of Pecco Bagnaia and Marc Marquez, here is your World Championship leader, second today, and now on top of the MotoGP Championship. Alex Marquez with Matt.
Yeah, I'm sure it feels great to hear his name, Alex Marquez, MotoGP World Championship leader. Alex has got the big smile on his face. That was a tough weekend, Alex. Hard conditions, particularly in that Grand Prix after the rain started to fall 30 minutes before. But you leave Qatar leading the MotoGP World Championship now. How good does that sound?
Big words, big words. I mean, amazing what we did this beginning of the season, leading the championship and the third race is something that we were doing in good things. But I mean, our championship is that one. We need to go race by race and not making mistakes. Try to be always there. Try to start 100 potential. We know that we are in an independent team with a last year bike, and in some moment for sure the official ones, they will have an advantage, but we need to be focused in ourselves, in the things that we have and all that, and extract the potential, and it's what we are doing, so happy for that. The mentality needs to be go race by race, extract, as I said, the 100 potential in every track, and try to finish races. This is the thing that we need to do. Consistency is always key when you're building a championship, Alex. That's now 6 second places. Today, a little bit of a helping hand from your brother Marc, who crashed out of the lead. What did you see of that, and did that change the race thereafter for you at any point? Yeah, before that, when I was following Pecco, I had a really big advice on turn 10. I lose completely the front. And then I said, wow, Alex, be calm, pay attention. But when I saw with Marc crashing, I say, okay, it was like advice to me, like, okay, pay attention. Today the mistakes, you will pay a lot, and it was really easy to make a mistake. I was not feeling good on the bike, you know, with many problems. So okay, you just need to control Dija, just to go to the end. Is what I was doing, and yeah, really happy. There's always a spectacular show in Austin when your brother is around. Talk us through what happened on the grid before the first start. I don't know, obviously you were next to Marc on the grid. I mean, you probably saw him standing off the bike. So were you aware of what he was planning and what he was going to do, and what was obviously your reaction when you saw him sprinting down pit lane or off the grid? I mean, in the first moment I said, he forgot something in the thing that you have on the grid, like the ear plug or something. But then I saw it also big, I say, what they are doing? But then I remember that that rule was able to do it, that when Marc was in MotoGP and I was in Moto2, I remember they put it that. And I say, my dry bike is ready? And they say to me, wait, asking on the radio, and they say, yes. I say, okay, I need to run. So it was like this. I think it was not the best start because we started late, but the show was unbelievable. So for sure, everybody, was like saying, "What the fuck is they are doing?" But it was super nice.
I think it was the fastest 200 metres you've ever done in full racing leathers, Alex, down the pit lane. Congratulations, leading the World Championship. Well done, great job.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, congratulations to Alex Marquez. Very quick apology for his fruity use of the English language there as he explained what was going on. Yeah, to quote the ex-Formula One world champion Damon Hill, he famously once said, "Racers are like journalists. They all stick together in case they miss something." And that was almost what Alex Marquez was doing there as he followed the factory Ducati riders off the grid. Without question, the GP24 that he's on is a phenomenal bike, one of the greatest bikes in Grand Prix history. But do you feel also that Alex has elevated himself this season? As good as the bike is, and it certainly feels more suited to this current iteration of Michelin tyre than the GP23 was, but Alex has raised his game this year.
No, absolutely. Alex was showing some potential at the end of last season. A couple of good races right up near the front. But, consistently, I think this morning in the warm-up, P6, that's the worst position I think he's had all year long. So he's obviously consistently running at the front, running some really consistent race times. And, that Gresini team's very deserving of leading the World Championship.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to be begrudging the Gresini team that. As we're waiting for the riders to come in for the press conference, they'll be here shortly. Let's touch upon a couple of the other riders who certainly deserve a mention out of this weekend. Jack Miller, certainly one of them. Ducati's first, second, third and fourth today. Top non-Ducati was Jack Miller. And certainly, I think, adapting to the Yamaha, I think, quicker and certainly more impressively than I think any of us expected him to.
Yeah, to be the lead Yamaha at the end of the day, I think is a great job for Jack. Pramac new to the Yamahas. They're working with the setup, but Jack seems to be able to get that thing to get more out of the motorcycle than maybe most can in less than perfect conditions. And he did just as we'd always expect the thriller to do. He kept it right near the front as long as he could all day long, and bringing home fifth's a great result.
Enea Bastianini also had a good race today. He came through to 7th in the end. So Enea Bastianini for KTM at least salvaging a result, but a difficult weekend again ultimately for the Austrian manufacturer. Brad Binder pulling out with technical problems and Pedro Acosta crashing in the early stages. How will KTM reflect on not just this weekend but the season they've had so far?
Yeah, and then Maverick not even getting to make the start. So, yeah, absolutely a difficult weekend for KTM, but you try and take what you can. Bastianini, the best result by far of the season, coming from way back on the grid, and to finish where he finished, I think they have to hold their head high and think maybe there is some possibility, there is some potential in that motorcycle.
Honda got some decent points out of this today with Luca Marini, although they lost Johan Zarco and Joan Mir, who both crashed out of the race. But how impressed or how heartened should we be by the progress that Honda have made into this season, and just how important is it for MotoGP to see Honda competitive again? Yeah,
both Yamaha and Honda, both of the Japanese manufacturers, making some real progress, it seems. They're not consistently banging on the front door up there at the pointy end of the field, but definitely making some progress, finding some consistency, able to stick those things up there a little bit further in qualifying. Were all three Hondas in the top 10 qualifying?
Certainly two of them were, yeah. Marini,
that's right. And that's right. Zarco had an off and didn't quite get the lap that he was hoping to. But the Yamahas are doing the same. They're just closing that gap up a little bit. Maybe not as consistent as they'd like to see, but I think any progress right now is some good progress.
For Aprilia, just one of those weekends for them, of course. It went wrong in a big way for them on Friday morning in the wet conditions. We saw both Ayagura and Marco Bezzecchi fighting hard to try and salvage some points out of that race today. Just never really came together for Aprilia here, did it?
No, Bez got up there and scrapped with him a little bit. Where did he end up?
Just inside the top 10.
Yeah, somewhere up there. But, I think that's progress from where he qualified. Trackhouse boys were right there. Ogura was in there mixing it up in the top 10 as well. So, both two of the four. Obviously, they miss Jorge Martin and his input, his laps, his data. But when he gets back on the bike, I think we can expect some big things from Aprilia.
Yeah, let's pick up straight from that as we look ahead to the next Grand Prix in Qatar in a couple of weeks' time. we hope and expect to see the world champion back with us, Jorge Martin, who certainly is planning to go to Qatar and try and compete for the first time this season. How big of a boost is it for all of us to see the world champion finally back aboard the #1, and just how big of a boost will it be to Aprilia?
Yeah, I mean, everybody was super excited to see him here this weekend. So great job for Jorge to be here. One of the things you hate to do as a rider when you're not getting to race is show up at the racetrack. You know, we're there to race, we're there to score points, we're there to try and win races. We're not there to watch. But yeah, Jorge put on a brave face, came here, I'm sure did some amazing PR for Aprilia, and I bet he's as excited as anybody to get back on that bike. And you know, it's always tough when you've missed, especially missed 2 or 3 races. It takes a while to get once you get back on the bike, to get everything back up to speed. When I raced, I felt like if I missed a race or 2, typically it was 3 times that to get back to where I was when I got hurt. So if I missed a race, I needed at least 3 to get back to that race pace, to be able to consistently get back to that fast level that I'd been at. So hopefully Jorge's probably got a little more data, a little more input, a little more time on the simulator where he can get ready, get better prepared for stuff. So it's definitely going to be interesting to watch.
Yeah, do you expect him almost to have a sort of testing mindset to that first weekend of action once again back in Qatar, of course, having not taken part in any sort of testing so far? It's a huge blow for him. Pekka Bagnaia is just about to come in and join us to join the legend that is Kevin Schwantz.
Congratulations,
Pecco. He's about to go and speak in the press conference, so we won't hold him up too much. Final look ahead then to Qatar. Pekka Bagnaia with a big boost, finally back on winning form again, and a circuit that he goes very well at, and historically Marc Marquez doesn't.
Yeah, it's you know, and it's such a long season. You know, we've just finished Grand Prix 3, 6 races into this season, and so much can happen. I mean, we saw today Marc gives away 25 points, championship's back wide open. Everybody was already talking about, do we already go ahead and give him the #1 plate? So let's keep plugging away. It's nothing but excitement out there on the racetrack, and I think we're looking forward to a really great season.
Just 3 rounds down in 2025, 19 to go. Kevin, huge thanks for your contributions through the weekend. We've certainly enjoyed you in the commentary box and here on After the Flag. So many, many thanks for joining us.
Thank you. It was a great time.
Great time, and we'll certainly look forward to all of your company in Qatar in a couple of weeks' time. It's Alex Marquez that leads the World Championship to Doha as Pekka Bagnaia bounces back in Austin. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.